Hey guys, welcome to another edition of our business branding. This week we are focusing on different ways to brand your business and the importance of branding your business. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of having a professional website and a logo design. Our special guest is the boss herself, designer boss Tamika Jones. See if Tamika is on here. Here she is. Hi Tamika,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm good.
Good. How's everything going?
So far, so good. Can't
So
complain,
far,
you
so
know.
good. I
So far, so
I see you're booked and busy for the rest of the year. Congratulations.
thank you.
Good. So today we're going to be talking about branding. You're gonna tell us exactly what it is that you do and why it's important. So let's get right into it. Do you mind telling us exactly what your business? Tell me your business name first, and then how long you've been doing it for, and why it's important.
Okay, so I'm a web designer. It's called Designer Boss. I also do online web design workshops, so video tutorials on how to create your own website if you have a tighter budget, and that's called DIY Boss Academy. And I've been doing it, well, I've been making websites for over 10 years for myself, for my own businesses, because I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur. You know, I like to dabble in a bunch of different things, right, which has led me to creating websites for other people, because people would ask, you know, who did your website, who did your logo, who did your, you know what I mean, your branding. And that's kind of how I fell into it, because I kept getting inquiries to do other people's websites once I told them, you know, I did my own. So in 2016 is when I made it official and decided, okay, I'm going to do this. I can do this and charge for it.
There you go. That worked out well. So you're self-taught then? Are you self-taught?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
self-taught. So yeah.
oh, nice, nice. So you just kind of okay. So tell me about that. So tell me how you went about doing it yourself versus hiring someone, because that's what we're going to get into. We're going to talk about the difference from doing it yourself versus getting someone to do it professionally.
Right. So I'm a DIY person, hence the name DIY Boss. I do everything myself if I can.
Yeah.
So back in, I think I was 21 when I made my first website. And I've always been a creative, you know what I mean? But I made my first website at 21 for a business that I started with my partner at the time. And I just kept making websites for myself because I didn't have the budget to pay somebody for it. And I didn't really, you know how much that cost. Back then, I'm 34 now, so that was years ago. So
Yeah.
websites weren't really a thing, you know what I mean? But I always knew that I wanted to have a website for any business that I had, so people could, you know, go on the website. It's just more professional, makes you look like you're more established, right? So I would just go online and try all these different drag and drop website builders. I've tried them all. I've done Wix, I've tried Shopify, I've done Blogger, I've done every single one you could possibly think of. And eventually I landed on WordPress because of somebody that I worked with. She actually, she approached me once seeing a business that I was running for my hair care business, and she asked me about it, how it was going, and she thought it was doing pretty well because I had a website, right? And the website looks pretty good for a DIY, but she was actually, you know, contacting me to redo the website for me professionally. And when she told me it cost $3,000, I'm like, girl, I'm not doing that. You know, like I was nowhere near able to afford a $3,000 website. I just had my daughter, you know, like I was not making that kind of money to be able to pay for that. But again, because I had a website, you just appear to be more established in your business when you have one, right? So she thought I was making that kind of money, even though I wasn't. So then luckily, she actually showed me what she used to make other people's websites, and she was working on a website while I was there. And we were really close, you know, so she showed me, hey, I bought a theme from this place and I'm just customizing. I'm like, really? What theme? You know what I mean? So I wrote it down, and that was the first professional looking website that didn't look like a DIY at all, you know, and that's the one that led me to getting inquiries about you know, my web design services, I guess. So it started with that. It was LaShawNaturals.com, and I used a theme that I purchased, that same theme that she was using, and I customized it. And it's all about like branding, you know what I mean? Like nice logo, nice images, nice, you know what I mean? Like packaging and stuff like that. And that made it look more professional. So so that's how it started. And that was about 2 years ago. Yeah.
No, that makes perfect sense. So essentially someone else taught you, and now you have the option that if someone can't afford, the full service professional rates, then you will teach them as well. Is that what I'm getting?
Right. Well, she didn't teach me. I don't think she thought I would actually go and figure it out. It took me 9 months to do that website.
Oh, wow.
It
Oh
took
my
me 9
goodness.
months because at the time, YouTube wasn't a thing where you could just go on YouTube and watch a tutorial on how to do something, right? So I purchased this theme, but I didn't know how to use it. And it comes with documentation, but you have to read through things. There's a lot of trial, and I didn't know what I was doing, you know what I mean? So it took me a very, very long time to get that first website looking like it was a legit, professional website. But that's when I realized, wait a minute, if I can rinse and repeat this, which I did it for multiple businesses that I started after that with the same type of thing. I would buy a theme and I would customize it and make it look, brand new. If I can teach people how to do this, then they can do what I do, so that's where the workshops came in, because not everybody has the budget. I didn't have the budget, so.
And that makes sense, because just like you said, you didn't have the budget, and now that, and she didn't offer that to you to teach you how to do it. So then now you figured out, okay, well, it makes sense that if they can't afford me, I'll do an alternative to teach them, right? And in the end, I think it's also good too to teach someone, because then in the long term, like say for example, for whatever reason, if you're not able to update or something on the website, then they can do it themselves, right? So self-taught, as you obviously know, is one of those things that it lasts forever. It's not the same as, going to school and reading a book and learning about it. When you teach yourself and you make the mistakes and you figure out, okay, this goes better with that, it just stays with you longer, right? So it definitely makes sense there. So with that being said, what would you say is the main differences between having a professional like yourself do it versus someone trying to build it on their own? Like, what would be the benefits of hiring someone and paying that money, which we'll get into after? What would be the benefits of versus trying to teach yourself?
Well, I would definitely say time, because 90% of the people that come to me have already tried to do it themselves. You know what I mean? So most of my clients already had a website that they tried to do themselves using Wix or Shopify or whatever else is out there, and it doesn't look professional. You know what I mean? It's not what they want. It doesn't reflect how they want their brand to be put out to the world. So they come to me because I can finesse, and make it look how you want it to look and bring your vision to life using, Photoshop. And so it's more about the elements that you're adding onto the site. If you are a creative and you know how to use Photoshop, or you're really, handy in Canva and stuff like that, then I definitely say try and do it yourself. You know what I mean? If you have the time. But again, there's always a learning curve. No matter if you're using Shopify, Wix, whatever, there's going to be a learning curve. Some people think it's simple drag and drop. Yeah, if you're going to use the exact same template that's given to you, just plug in pictures, you're good to go. It's going to look like whoever else, is using that same template. But if you want it to look a little better and you want it to look more personalized, that's when a designer comes in, because they can create custom buttons, they can, create custom banners, they can, finesse things a little bit and make it look more, personal to you, even if it is a template or, a theme that you're using.
Yeah, so, okay, that makes perfect sense that you obviously can create that customization, especially with colors, because I know that when I was initially doing one of my websites, I did mine myself using Wix, and I didn't have the color palette, because whatever they offered, that's the only thing that was available to me, and some of my colors were a bit customized. So it looked off, and it hurt my branding, because if I had a certain number, I think it was like a light pink or something, and that's my brand, but then on my website it's a different shade. I don't know if people notice it or not. Just for me, on my eye, I'm like, that doesn't look too good, and it doesn't create a consistency, right? So that's one big thing, is with branding, it keeps the consistency going. And then time too, because the amount of time that you're trying to plug and play, you said it took you 9 months. That's 9 months of sales being lost, right? 9 months of time going by. So time is money, and it's one of those things that it makes sense to invest into someone to do it for you to get it up and running much faster versus you trying to figure it out on your own, right? Exactly. So going back, so that being said, some people can't afford, like you said. So what's the price? What would you say the starting range for a custom website, and how many pages would you get, and what exactly, ballpark?
So it ranges, right? So lately I've been offering these one-page websites. I love one-page websites because I feel like sometimes people think that you need so many pages. You really don't. You know what I mean? Keep it simple. And as long as you have a designer that knows your audience and knows what the goal is for the website, you can have a one-page website and it can do everything it needs to do. My one-page websites, depending on the type of business it is, can be anywhere from $700 to like $1,900 if you need like a booking calendar, or you know what I mean? So it just ranges. My prices do start at, for a one-pager, I do have one for $600, but then my more expensive packages go above $5,000. So there's a huge range depending on the type of client you are, the type of website you need, whether you need an online shop or, you know, you're a service-based business. It's all about the tools that you need. So if you need a booking calendar, you need an online shop, a custom order form, you know, with conditional logic, like there's so many features and functionalities a site can have. For people to be able to do what they need to do on your site and make it super user-friendly for your clients as well as yourself to, you know, do an order with or transaction with somebody. That's what really determines the range, if you get what I'm saying. So it really varies depending on what you need.
Yeah, exactly. So someone who just maybe is a blogger, they just need a page for blogging, versus someone who has an online store and needs the form and the payment and the e-com, that would obviously make it a bit more expensive. So do you have an option? So say, for example, someone like me who I like to think I can DIY certain things. Do you have an option where you can create the design, but then the person can go and modify it after, or is it like all or nothing kind of thing? Either I do it or you do it.
So I have all of the designs that I do for people, they can go in and customize. So I offer tutorials to every single client. Video tutorials, so they can change what they want to change and update it if they want to update it. So, because I don't believe in, like, traditionally there were coders, right? And they would code your website in HTML and CSS, and you couldn't change anything, which I think is kind of useless. No shade to the people that code, but I just don't believe in not being able to manage and maintain your site yourself. So with any website I do, you will receive video tutorials on how to do everything yourself, and I use a plugin that turns your site into a drag and drop front end builder like a Wix or Shopify. So that's what I choose to use that, so I can hand it off to them, and if they need to add content, they need to add a section, they need to add text, they need to update their prices, they can do that. They don't need me, you know? So there's that. And then the DIY, where it's more DIY, I mentioned DIY Boss Academy. That's where I'm installing a template for you that I've already created based on the niche that you're in. So I have a bunch of websites, and they're all pretty much the same layout somewhat, because I believe in basing your design off of the customer, you know what I mean, and the client. Like, a lot of people feel like, oh, I want something that's so fancy and unique and a different layout than anything I've ever seen, but that's not user-friendly for most people, you know what I mean? You want people to come on a website and be able to shop, book, see your services, contact you, that's it. And those should be the top things at the top of your website. So any website I do, there's usually like 3 buttons right underneath the header with the 3 main call to actions. So I do have already ready-made templates. So with the DIY Academy, I install it for you, and then you watch the video tutorials, you add your own logo, you change your own color, you add your own text, pictures, and you're good to go, and you don't really need me, you know? So yeah, so there's different options, but even with that, people don't want to do that, you know what I mean? Because they don't want to have to make their own banner, they don't want to have to make their own graphics, because that's where I come in, like making the buttons and the banner and stuff like that. So yeah, there's 2 options, you know?
Oh, that makes perfect sense. I actually love the fact that you have the flexibility that if someone wants to have a certain amount of control over their design and their maintenance of their website, versus if, you know, somebody says, nope, I don't want anything to do with it, you manage it, you have both options. That's really great. And that way you're reaching out to a lot of smaller businesses, because the reality is a lot of people can't afford it, right? That's one aspect out of any business is, you know, upwards of $1,000 for a website. More so around 3,000, 5,000, as you were saying. And who has that? You start on a new business, you have to buy product. If you have to do branding, that's a lot of money to invest into one thing. But in the end, it makes you look good. Next question I wanted to talk about, which is something that has been in dispute with some small businesses. Now that Instagram and social media is such a big thing now, and there's such avenues to go and, you know, have a marketplace. You can sell on Instagram, Facebook. Do you think that in this digital social media world, it's still necessary to have a website, or does it depend on the business you're in?
100%. And I'll say my web designer, because in all reality, I'm saying this based off of my experience with my clients. So just to name a few, Trey Arts, he was already doing well without a website. Period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We also highly agree, by the way. He was singing your praises the other day. I had a line with him, and he was singing praises.
But yeah, Trey Arts, he was killing it with you know what I mean, with the website that he had or no website because he used social media. We Balloons, they do balloon decor. They're at 100,000+ followers on Instagram. They were running their entire business off of Instagram. Some of them, my lash clients, they have 30K followers, and they've been running their business through Instagram DMs, and they still paid to get a website. So that just speaks to that topic. You cannot only use Instagram. Yes, you can use Instagram to validate your idea, to start your business, and all that good stuff. I highly recommend doing Instagram. Anytime somebody comes to me with a business idea, my first question is, do you have an Instagram page? Because you have to have a social media platform to be reaching an audience. And I believe in validating your idea before you even think about a website or a logo. You know what I mean? Like, think about if you even want to do what you're doing. You know, figure out the whole branding piece before you come to me, and know what your why is, why you want to do this, what your mission is. Like, all of that is so important. And social media is so powerful because you can put the idea out there to the world before you even invest a dime. You know, so I highly recommend people start with social media. And then once you validated the idea and you realize, okay, this is something I love and I'm interested in, I'm going to be doing this for long term, then you invest in a website, because a website's an investment. You know what I mean? So those clients have been doing their business on social media for years. And actually one of them, they were having issues with managing their order process and their, you know, back and forth with clients on social media because it's not effective. It's not user friendly. You know what I mean? Somebody's DMing you for pricing and then you're sending them a message. It's not user friendly. You have to send them somewhere else. Instagram's algorithm, that's a whole other thing, but it's changed over the years. It's not like it used to be. You used to be able to post things and get clients like this and get followers like this. It's not like that anymore. So to rely on something that does not belong to you, and you have zero control over, and if you have a business page, you see the insights, you could have thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, and the amount of people that see your post or see your stuff is like not even a fraction of the followers that you have. So they completely control your reach and, you know, your visibility. So I don't believe in keeping it all there, but I believe in starting with that because, you know, it's free. Why not? You have to. That's how I started.
Sure. And that makes sense. Someone had mentioned that, you know, if they find someone on Instagram, that they go immediately to the website, and that kind of creates a certain validation to say, okay, is it a real company or is it some overnight company? Because if you're about to spend money with this company, you want to make sure that they're real, they're legit. For some reason, and even in my mind too, a website creates some sort of legitimacy for some reason. So I don't know why, but you seem to think that it's a more for real company as well. And the other thing that Trey had mentioned the other day too is that if you're looking to branch into the corporate world, they don't deal with social media, right? They want to see that, okay, are you an actual business? What's your website, right? So that's a really big thing, just in validation, right? The other thing is that social media has a lot of limitations, like you said. I know for myself, when I was doing my wedding decor business, it was hard to manage, like you said, taking people's orders because I'm messaging them, but there was no way for me to track it. I had to create another tracking system. And instead of doing, you know, having 10 different channels to process one transaction, a website, you can have your order form, you can create payments, you can have your booking, you can have everything work for itself on a website versus you having so many different avenues. And as you know, as a small business, you're already wearing so many hats, right? And it can get really taxing to try and keep up with all the processes and who emailed me what and who wanted to get this done. It just makes it a lot more seamless transaction for the client and for yourself, you know, as a small business owner. So another question I want to ask you is that what is a common mistake that you see a lot of websites do? So again, for the people that are out there DIYing their own website, what's a common trend that you see that isn't a good one, that's not helpful to
Oh, there's so many. Do I have to give one?
Okay, top three.
Top three? Okay, so I would say not mobile. And this is even designers. This is not just a DIY. Like, designers do this, and I don't even understand how this is still happening. But have you ever seen a website where you click on the link and then the website looks exactly how it looks on a desktop or a laptop. So everything's just smaller. It looks beautiful. It's really nicely designed, but everything is just scaled down. So if you want to like press on a button or press up, you have to zoom in. So that is oh my gosh, that's my biggest pet peeve, because designers still do that. And I don't even understand why, because like we're in 2020, you know what I mean? 2021. Like it shouldn't be doing that anymore. Back in the day, that used to be the mobile, friendly version of a website. Now it's mandatory that you have a mobile responsive website where it scales down and the layout changes when you are on a phone. So it doesn't, like sometimes I'll design a website and I'll change the order of the buttons, or I'll change what's visible on a phone versus what's visible on a laptop, because the user experience is different from a laptop to a phone, you know what I mean? So that's probably my biggest pet peeve, the biggest thing that I noticed. Like, it's just not user friendly. And there's so many things that tie into the user friendliness of a website. Like if your logo is super busy, or text is really small, or you're using fancy fonts and people can't read it, or you have broken links. Like there's so many things about user friendliness that I feel are important that like people are lacking, whether they're doing it themselves or they have a designer. It's just those are little things that I notice and people don't realize. I'll go on a website and click shop now and it'll bring me to a 404 error page. You know what I mean? Like things like that. Oh my gosh, I hate it. I don't care how pretty the website is, So there's a lot of little mistakes. In fact, if you guys want to see, my list of mistakes, since I did make a post about this, it's in my biz tips highlights. And I have a top 10 list. So that's like the checklist. You need to make sure all of you don't have
We're like, wait, hold on. But even as someone who's gone to other websites, even for myself, when I did my first website using Wix, I didn't realize there was I saw the mobile version option, but I didn't touch it because what is that? And so somebody had messaged me, a potential client. They're like, yeah, your whatever page it was is not, like, I can't see it. And when I clicked on it through my phone, I realized it magnified like 100%, so you couldn't see. And I was like, okay, I'm trying to get to the menu and I couldn't, and I didn't realize that I had to create another mobile version, right? So I don't know if people skip it because it's like design another website and just kind of modifying it. That's the reason why a lot of people overlook it. But the reality is everyone does things from their phone. Your phone is your mini laptop, right? So the first thing that someone sends you a link on your phone, you're more likely to open it on your phone versus the desktop. But both are really important, right? So it makes perfect sense. What would you say is another pet peeve or another common mistake that people make on websites?
Making it difficult for people to like know what you do. And I see this all the time. Like I go on a website and like I'm scrolling through all this text, like, okay, what do you do? Like, what are you selling me? What can I buy? How do I contact you? I go from your Instagram, it's like, okay, I see pictures of, let's say balloons or decor, but then I go on your page, like, but what do you do? Like, do you do, you know what I mean? Are you a event planner? Are you this? Like, I find that so often, which is why I said it's so important to have like the 3 main call to action buttons big at the top, so people know like book of this or services or price list or whatever is most important to you in your business. I see that so many times because I guess, again, they're not really thinking about the user experience, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, the website is there to help you. It's like it's an employee, you know what I mean? You want them to be your assistants. You want people to go on the website and be able to order, book, inquire, or just use your price list, something simple, you know what I mean? So that's probably one of my biggest pet peeves when I go on a website. I'm like, yeah, but what do you do? And how do I contact you? And like, what are your prices? Like, I hate that I can't go on somebody's site and just not have everything laid out for me, you know what I mean? Which is where a lot of my design templates come from. So just a quick little story. Every year I have to buy a birthday cake for my daughter, right? And I like to get her like custom cakes. And I would go and find people on Instagram. I always find a cake maker on Instagram, and I would message them. And we're doing this back and forth in the DMs, about this order, and then eventually it goes to email. So then, I designed a template so that there's absolutely no back and forth at all. So it's like there's a custom form, and then they fill in like all your flavors, the layers of cake, how many people are you serving, when is the event, what theme do you want, upload some pictures of the theme and your color scheme. Like, so everything is done on the website. There are no questions. There's a price list, you know, that's a drop down. It's a one-page website, has every single piece of information a person needs to be able to order without you even communicating with them. And you're also able to like filter out people that can't afford you if you have something like that on there. You know what I mean? So yeah, that would be the thing.
That makes a big difference. I actually did that myself for when I was doing my wedding decor, because you want to have that. I think it depends on the industry you're in, but for weddings, it was important to connect with the clients. But like you said, a lot of people, you know, at some point, you know, 3-4 conversations in, you realize, oh, they can't afford me, or you know, what they want is not what I offer, or it's not my style, and all that time has been, you know, wasted, because now it's like, okay, you know, we're not going to do it, or that transaction's not going to go through. So that time that you, and there's a certain amount of time I think that you may lose in business when you're contacting people, because you want to make sure that your clients are the right fit for you and vice versa. But that form that I created, because I was so exhausted of having these 2-hour-long conversations on the onset about what they wanted for their wedding and their dreams, and then sometimes people can't even articulate what they want. And I said, you know what? Get a picture. I would tell people, go on Pinterest or Instagram, get a picture. And I created a form. Again, this is now that I'm talking to you, I realize how much different applications I have to use. I used another form. They created a link jot form. I don't know if you heard of it before.
Yeah.
And I created a link, so it would email me. You know, all of their answers. But it saves so much time for me, which is efficient. And then it also created a convenience to the client too, because then now you have everything listed. So I would list what my prices were, and then I said, okay, after that, do you still want to fill out this form? And then I would have, you know, what is it you need, and attach pictures. So it makes a huge difference. And to know that you can do that on one website, I didn't even know that was an option. I had like 10 different apps when I was doing my business. It was exhausting, because you have to remember logins, and then you have to find a way to kind of connect everything, if there was a way. So, you know, looking back at it, if I had known what I know now in terms of the investment in a professional website, I would have done so a long time ago, because the time alone that you save as a small business owner, it saves you a lot. And it weeds out those people, like you said, that aren't, not say aren't serious, but can't afford you, right? And so it kind of saves you that time to put towards effort and time into other clients that are going to purchase, that are going to process that transaction. I want to touch base on logos, right? So you also design logos. I want you to speak a bit to that. So right now, another part of the theme that I'm focusing on is on logos. How important is it for a business to have a logo, and is it important for all businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important to have a logo, because it's something that identifies your business. You know, it's a mark. But what I would say is I feel like people put a little bit too much importance into the logo design. And I always, anytime somebody comes to me with a logo idea, oftentimes they want the most. They want a shoe, and they want a dress, and they want, you know, a coat. Like, they want everything in their logo to display what it is they do for a living. And I wouldn't do a logo like that. I've done it in the past, and it was a nightmare, and I hated it, and I wouldn't even put it in my portfolio, because it's just too busy. It's not what is it, versatile. So it's like, it's hard to use on a website. It's hard to print. It's hard to put on, you know, apparel if you need to. So I tell people now, like, if they come to me with this busy, grand idea, I let them know, like, think about Gucci, think about Chanel, think about Nike, think about the Gap, H&M. They have text-based, simple logos and a simple icon, maybe, you know. So don't invest too much time and energy into the logo, especially in the beginning, because I feel like a lot of people will do that in the beginning, and then they end up changing it. So they spent the money on this busy, huge, you know, extravagant logo, only to realize later on down the road it's not professional, and that they need to scale it all the way back into something that's simple and text-based. So with my packages, I actually offer people a free basic text-based logo, because I realize a lot of people come to me and I can't work with their logo, and I'm not going to put a bad logo on a website that I designed. I'm just not going to do it. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to do a free version for you. If you like it, you can keep it. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it. But thus far, people love my simple text-based logos, and they're cool with, you know, however I see it. Because there's a little bit of brand strategy in there. Like, I do have to ask them questions about who their audience is and, you know, what kind of vibe they want to portray, you know what I mean? So that gives me enough information on how to design something clean, simple, timeless, that you're not going to have to change in 2 years when you realize it's unprofessional. So yeah, keep it simple. That's all I got to say. You can even do it yourself by going on like things like Creative Market and purchasing what's it called? A custom font. You know what I mean? If you want something that looks a little bit unique to you and your style, purchase a font. They're like $20. That's a logo right there. You know what I mean? If you want to add an icon later on, do it. But don't spend too much focus, time, and energy on a logo. And the best logo designers do simple logos, like from like my experience in looking at other people's work, because I'm not mainly a logo designer, I'm mainly a web designer. I just do logos because people need them. But yeah, people will charge like $5,000 and the logo is literally text. Yeah. So the Nike, if you look up like how much the Nike logo costs, it costs a lot of money, but it's a very simple logo, right? So do it yourself if you can. Get some nice fancy text if you can, you know what I mean? Or clean text, something that, you know, reflects what you do. Yeah, but that's my view on logos.
That $20 sounds a lot better than the $5,000 one.
What?
I think part of it too is that some people don't have the vision for it, because depending on, like you said, people always like to overcomplicate things, right? So I know for me, I had about 7 logos in the 6-year period because my first logo was so complicated. And like you said, versatility. I didn't think about that when I was designing it. I was just like, oh, I want it to look pretty. And then when I tried to put it on my shirt, when I tried to put it on my business card, it was too much. And so I played around with it for some time until I eventually paid someone to create the logo for me, because it wasn't what I wanted, right? So I was trying to think of what I wanted, but it was just too complicated, especially when it comes to versatility. I did not consider that. I didn't consider it going on clothes. I didn't consider it going on pamphlets or anything. I just designed something in my mind and thought it looked pretty. It wasn't functional. So that makes a lot of sense. Going back to design, right? Because I want to ask you in terms of the website, you know, even with the logo, given that a lot of people don't know all the things that you know in terms of the things to consider, right? People typically just say, I want the shirt, I want the pants, I want to show all these things that I do, you know, the cakes, the cupcakes. Do you, in part of your process, when a client comes to you, do you assist them with design, or do they come and say, okay, I want this, and then you do it? Or do you make suggestions and you kind of guide them along the way as to, okay, no, when you're creating your website, make sure you have a call to action, to make sure you do this. Do you help them write the actual text? Like, tell me the process as a client coming to you.
Right. So how it works is, to be honest, I like to choose who I work with, just being honest. So like, I will like engage with people that are my target audience, and then they end up coming to me for a website. Like, that's how I've done it. But then obviously I have people that just find me or are referred to me and they come to me. And basically what I do is I ask them, you know, do you have a logo? If so, I want to see it, so that I can kind of get a feel for what they're working with. And then if I decide to work with them, because I don't work with everybody, like especially if I just feel like they're not ready, because some people, I don't want to take your money if you're not ready. You know what I mean? Like it's a waste of, I'm just not like that. I feel like start an Instagram, validate the idea, then come back, or take some professional pictures, then come back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want you to get the branding piece and the, you know, the other stuff that comes before the website done before you come to me, because I don't want to take your money and create something that's like mediocre. You know what I mean? So if they have everything in check on that end, even if they don't have a logo, but we have a consultation and they have like a vision, they let me know what their color scheme is or what they want, their vision for the brand. At that point, you know, once they pay their deposit, I have something called Asana, which is my project management system. And it's just basically like a task list. And I have basically a branding questionnaire, right? So one of the things I ask is, you know, if you could describe your brand in 3 words, what would it be? You know what I mean? And I list a bunch of words. So elegant, fun, cute, chic, whatever. Like I list all these words, and then they're able to pick from that list of words. And that kind of gives me an idea. And then I also send them a link to a few Pinterest boards that I've already created. And on those Pinterest boards, I have logo inspiration, font inspiration, and color combos. So they're able to go and get inspiration instead of them going and searching on their own. I've already created them. Like I have a ton, and they can just go through it. And what they'll do is they'll screenshot what they like and send it to me. So I know what fonts they like. I know what color schemes they like. I know what, vibe they're going for based on the mood boards they chose. So it makes my job really easy in terms of the overall look and feel if they don't already have it together. The people I choose to work with, they already have it together. Like I already know what to do for them, and I can design a website for them without them telling me what they want. But when somebody's brand new and they haven't gotten it all together, that's what I like to do, so that I have an idea and they have an idea, because sometimes they're not even sure, so that really clarifies the whole design process in terms of look and feel and the vibe. But when it comes to the layouts, non-negotiable. Like in terms of like how I set things up. And I have had clients, or one client actually, give me a little pushback because they didn't want their site to look exactly like somebody else's site in the exact same industry. They do the exact same thing, which I understand. But that's where I have to explain the customization comes from, again, the banner, your colors, your logo, the vibe, you know what I mean? Like your colors and your everything is completely different than theirs, right? But there's a method to my madness. There's a reason why we have those 3 buttons at the top. That shouldn't change. And I did change it for them so that they could see, but I explained to them, nobody wants to read your about me as soon as they go on your website. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're selling balloons. They don't want to read your whole history of why you started this business. They want to know how to book. They want to maybe go to your gallery. You know what I mean? They want to see your packages. That has to be at the top. So for me, it's non-negotiable. Like we're sticking to the layout. Beyond that first part, if you want to add some other stuff and showcase it, that's fine. But the top part, that's all me. You don't get a choice. We're gonna figure out what your main call to actions are, and that's how it's gonna be, because people are using their phones to book your services. They need to be able to click that link and see exactly what you offer right off the bat as soon as they go. So people trust me, you know what I mean? Like when I tell them about that process, they trust me. So I know you've seen Treyarch's site. If you look at it again, you'll see 3 buttons. If you look at
it's so easy. I booked, I had ordered, I just have for my paint night tomorrow, and it was extremely seamless. Like I just went on, blah, 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 and ordered like within minutes. So that makes a lot of sense. I think for a lot of people, and myself included, is that when you have a creative mind where you're just thinking of like the visuals, right? And you're just looking at, you're not thinking of, okay, well, put yourself in the shoes of the client. What are they trying to do? Like you said, it's nice to have the about section because someone might want to see it, but that's not the first thing. Like no one's going to go to read about you. They want to know, how do I book you? How much is it going to cost? When are you available, right? So those things are important, and it's good that you're firm in relaying that information, because at the end of the day, someone might say, hey, I paid you all this money to do my website and I'm not getting any bookings. Like people aren't coming to my website. It's not driving anything, but you're right? So it's good that you point that out to people to show them that, hey, this is part of the matter. Yeah. So one other question I want to ask you is, in terms of, hold on, what, I lost that here. We talked about the cost. In terms of your services, at what point in time do you think it's important for a business to go from DIY to a professional? So if someone can't afford it right off the bat, which is most small businesses, at what point in time in someone's business would you say is a good time to go to a professional website?
Well, for me, I believe if you've already validated the idea and you want to do it, like for sure, that's like step one. You want to do this, you're going to do it. It's not going to be up today, down tomorrow type of situation. Then the next thing is just budget. So if you don't have a budget at all and you're doing like an e-commerce shop, Shopify, you know what I mean? And do it yourself and try and be creative, try and use Canva, like watch some tutorials if you have a $0 budget. But there is, what I realize is that some people have a budget, but it's just not enough for like me, you know what I mean? Like to afford me. So especially with COVID-19, I decided to start offering more one-page websites. So basically, if you have a little bit of a budget, then you can seek out a designer's help and they should be able to offer you something within your budget without compromising the value. So like I didn't change my pricing structure at all. I'm just offering less, you know? So my packages that are like $5,000, they come with multiple pages. They come with the, you know, custom form for orders. They come with, you know, training forms. Like, you know what I mean? They come with all the bells and whistles. But I realized like a lot of people still want that professionally designed website and they want me to do it, you know, by me. So it's like, okay, well, what can I do for them? So that's when it's like, you know, if you have a little bit of a budget, then seek out a professional that can help you. You know what I mean? Like if you have the budget, it's better to just go that route. Because I'm telling you, the power of a website is like, it's real. Because there's like, if people go to your website and it looks professional and you look like you've already made it, you know what I mean? There's something psychologically that people just feel like, oh, you know, they're already established. I don't have a problem trusting this person with my money. Whereas if you don't have a website or your website looks DIY, they just feel like, oh, you're a budget person. You know what I mean? They want to lowball you on things. You know what I mean? And like even me, I don't shop, and I've always been like this. If a website looks janky, I'm not shopping on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if it's like semi-professional, you know what I mean? And there's some social proof on their Instagram, like there's enough social proof where it's like, okay, I see they're getting orders, even if their website's trash, I'll still spend my money, you know what I mean? But if you're just starting, you know, visuals are important, because if you're brand new and you don't have a website or you have a DI website that looks bad, it's going to be hard. You know what I mean? That's just the reality. It's going to be hard to convince people to trust you with their money. So if you have a little bit of a budget, then I would suggest shopping around. You know, again, for me, I realized that offering the one-page websites to people is a good option, because they kind of requested that, and that's why I came up with that idea. It's like, well, I can't afford a 5-page website. Okay, well, let's do a 1-page website, and you can always expand on it later. And I've been really good at pretty much adding everything that you've done on that one page. So it's like they don't even really need to expand like they thought they did, you know? So yeah, like it's just budget, really, and if you know what you want to do. So those would be the two things. Like absolutely know what you want to do before investing, and then you have to have some type of a budget. And if once you have that budget, that's something that you should invest in.
Okay, perfect. So just in closing, just to run by for some people who that weren't in the live in the beginning, you mentioned that the one page start from was it 600 or 700 for one page?
Yeah. For the cake websites, I mentioned I do like a cake custom form type of website. Those ones start at 600. It's literally the exact same template. When I show people that it's the exact same template for everybody that gets it, they're just like, oh my gosh, their mind is blown, because it looks so different even though it's the same layout. So those ones start at 600, but a normal, you know, one-page website that has like e-commerce capability would start at like $800, $900 approximately, depending on how many products you have.
You can do a one-page e-com?
Well, I didn't think so, but what I realized is, you know, page, right? So, you know, when you go to the shop page, so normally there's a home page when you go on a website. And so the home page showcases certain things, and then there's like a shop now or shop button. Well, instead of creating a homepage, I just send them straight to the one page, right? And instead of, you know, having all these bells and whistles, the about me, the this, the gallery, and all that stuff that you would normally have on a homepage, we're just gonna have the shop. Like send them straight to the shop. That's what you want them to do anyways. Shop, and we just do a nice little custom banner. Right?
Okay, okay, that makes perfect sense. I didn't know that. That's good to know. So you said around 900, and then for a multi-page. That's
so multi-page, rule of thumb is like, for my rates, it's basically depending on the type of site, it can range from 300 to 350 per page. So when you're thinking about a multi-page website, so a one-page website on its own, but it's like if you're going to add additional pages, that's my rate, because it will take me about a day or two to do the additional pages that you want. So I have a custom quote form, because you know I like to have everything laid out and easy for people. So when people want to know how much a website is going to be, there's a custom quote form, so they can literally choose the amount of pages, if they're going to add different functionalities, and it tallies up the total at the bottom, so they know right off the bat if they want to pay for it or not, you know, based on adding additional pages or adding a shop or adding a booking form, adding tracking, adding this, adding that. Like they're all, you know, listed. Like you can't see the price list, but as soon as you add it, like you check the box, it just tallies up the total based on what you have.
That's a great idea. That way, again, like you said, you can wean out the people that may not be able to afford you, and the ones that are serious, you can go ahead with them. Then the last one is that you said you also offer the DIY course. What is that the starting rate for that?
So it's basically $250, and how it works is I pay for tools to build websites, right? So I pay for the drag and drop builder every year. I pay for hosting. I pay for different things that I use to build these websites. Now, for somebody else to pay for that to make one website doesn't make any sense. So what I do is I give them my license. So I install one of my templates that I created for them onto their own hosting accounts. And then, so they have something that was designed by me, but then they just receive the video tutorials to customize it. So they pay $250 for the tutorials as well as the templates and my license. And yeah, and it's, you know, for as long as you want it. If you want to cancel and you don't want it anymore, then you cancel. But you're paying $250, and then it's $15 a month for the license, to have access to the license and my templates for as long as you want.
So the $250 is a one-time fee, and then $15 per month.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, you see, you have a large variety of options and price points, so there isn't any reason why someone shouldn't have a professional-looking page in the end, whether or not they start off by getting your tutorials and then, you know, transitioning to you doing it for them officially. So I really like that. Tamika, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a lot of great information. Wish you all the best. Guys, check her out, Designer Boss, DIY Boss, if you want to do it yourself. I'm going to tag you into the video, so that way if anybody needs a website or have any questions, you can reach out to Tamika. Thank you so much, Tamika.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.